Justin Trudeau's economic plan is out. There's a lot of changes, a lot of shuffling of tax dollars, tax points. I wanted to find out what the people at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation think about this. Aaron Woodrick is the federal director, and here in your illustrious offices looking up towards Parliament Hill, this is, I'm guessing that you're going to say, you like some parts of it, don't like some others.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a mixed bag, Brian. There's some good stuff in here. I mean, we've got a tax cut involved, which we always like to see. There's also a simplicity issue. You know, the one of our criticisms of the Harper government has been they're making things complicated a lot of the time. So this plan does roll a lot of programs into one big program. So we like that angle. That said, there are some problems.
There's a lot more money being spent in the way that they're going to do it.
Exactly. There's a couple of things. There is a tax hike involved too, a rather large tax hike, and it does cost a lot more. This program overall, up to $5 billion, depending on where you stop counting. They've admitted publicly that there's $2 billion in addition to what's being spent now, and they've also baked in an assumption they're going to be able to bring in $3 billion from this new tax hike on the rich. If any experience tells you that those projections for tax hikes on the rich tend not to bring in as much money as people think they're going to.
Okay, so let me ask you about that. A new tax bracket, 33% on anything anyone earns over $200,000. Now, most people don't earn that. There's only about 200,000 people earning that amount in 2011 in Canada. Those were the last numbers I saw from StatsCan. So most people are going to look at that and say, well, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. But it is a problem having this new tax level in because it just brings about more tax avoidance.
It does. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Liberals on the one hand are making things simpler. On the other hand, they're making it more complicated, adding a whole new layer of taxation. And while, of course, as you say, it's politically popular to soak the rich, the thinking is they can afford it, why not do it?
But they can also afford the accountants, the lawyers, and everything else to make sure they don't give the money to the government.
That's exactly it. And it's also an economic disincentive. I mean, what we want to have a tax system that encourages people to create new wealth. If you have lots more wealth to go around, you can actually raise more money by taxing people less. Doing this is a discouragement for people, the people who are the best at making the money. It's a discouragement to make more money. And I think people need to be careful when they have every policy answer as, well, let's just go back to the rich and tax them some more.
It is the Ontario playbook, though. There's a lot of people surrounding Justin Trudeau from Ontario. They've brought in 2 surtaxes in the last couple of years on the wealthy, just thinking, well, this will help. It hasn't helped in Quebec. Quebec has some of the highest taxes on wealth in Canada. There's a lot fewer wealthy people in Quebec because they just decide, you know what, I can make money elsewhere.
Yeah, that has to be part of the discussion. On its own, perhaps a tax hike's not that bad, but this is on top of what's happening in the provinces. And I believe that the new rate in Ontario would be well over 50% for the top earners. So that's, for every new dollar someone in that bracket brings in, more than half of it's going to the government. That's a big problem. In Ontario, you're seeing too, they're quickly running out of room and ways and places to raise new taxes. The economy's still stalled. It's not helping. They've got a big deficit. There's a lot of questions, and eventually push is going to come to shove.
The fact of trying to expand, you did admit that you like the simplicity of this new Canada Child Benefit. It rolls a bunch of programs into one. It reduces paperwork, and that's to be lauded. But part of their sales point is we're going to put a lot more money into the pockets of parents. But not through a tax cut. It's going to come through Ottawa first. The bureaucrats are going to take their cut. They're going to get their nice paychecks. They're going to get their nice pensions, the expensive offices in downtown Ottawa. And then they're going to send the money back to parents. Yeah. And at a higher rate than the Harper government's doing. Does that worry you?
Yeah, it's fascinating because up until this week, we've been hearing from the Liberals that the Harper approach is not the way to go. It only benefits the wealthy. Interesting now that they've rolled out this plan, they've basically bought into the Harper approach, which is take the money in and then spit it back out in the form of a check. They're simply saying, if you like what Harper's doing, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to give you even more. So I thought that was a really interesting change of direction by the Liberals. And we would certainly agree that the best way, if you really want to help all Canadians, if you really want to give them all the most help, just cut their taxes. Cut them across the board. Cut income taxes. That helps everybody who earns a paycheck.
Let me ask you about that, though, because you'll say that, economists will say that, Federation of Independent Business will say that. Here's the secret that you guys don't want getting out there. Canadians don't like an across-the-board tax cut as much as they like something that shows up in their bank account because Well, that's tangible.
Yep.
Across the board tax cut, not so much. Or it disappears after 1 year.
Absolutely. There's no question that the political benefit to sending someone a check pays off a lot more than cutting their tax. And that's unfortunate. And I think Canadians need to, over time, start thinking a lot about what will actually leave the most money in their pocket. I think they'd care a lot more at the end of the day if they see at the end of the year when they're filing their taxes that they've actually had netted a lot more income. They shouldn't care so much about how they get it so much as how much they actually receive in the end.
All right, let me ask you about this. The NDP came out and criticized the Trudeau tax plan for saying they don't even want to raise taxes on the wealthy. Did that surprise you that they're being pretty stalwart so far in saying they don't want to raise any personal income taxes?
Yeah, I mean, the New Democrats saying that, I think the New Democrats are really trying to demonstrate some credibility on the economic file, as a lot of people will know that historically has been a weakness for them. People see them as, spendthrift socialists. And so I will give them credit for going out of their way to demonstrate that they're not looking to tax hikes for all the solutions. That said, they haven't really rolled out what their counter is going to be to the Liberal Conservative plan. So we look forward to seeing that. And we would like nothing more than a battle of tax cuts amongst all three major parties.
All right, Aaron, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Brian.